Agud Voch Raboisai. Leiluy nishmat Miriam Mordechai. So we're sitting here. The matzav is shver. It's a very tough situation. Klal Yisrael is in a very, very in need of rachamim. We don't know the numbers yet. It was we all woke up this morning to bombs, many very loud bombs, which we hear in Ramat B'Shemesh we've never heard before. That size, that amount, sirens, and those of us who went to shul, we had sirens, local sirens that went off. We actually had missiles that fell in Bet Shemesh. People ran into Mamad. We didn't know what was going on. We knew that something bad happened. We weren't sure what. We never saw such a response, an Israeli response, in terms of bombs. And right now, Motzi Shabbos, Motzi Yontif, the numbers are still coming in, but there's over 200 casualties, 200 niftarim from the Jewish side, and over 1,400 injured. From those 1,400, close to 300 are, how do you say? Anush. More than critical. Anush means more than critical. The critical is 600, I think. There's a lot of captured. We don't know how many. We don't know numbers now. We just know that many Yidden are captured. Just think about the tsar of a captured person. Think about, they know that we're dealing with Reitzchim. They know families, full families killed in the streets. We don't even know what happened. We don't know. We just know that we're in a very bad matzav. We need to say Tehillim. Let's say some Tehillim now. I asked that people shouldn't come to Shir tonight because the government doesn't want many people sitting in the same place, in the same room. There's still a very strong element of danger out there. There's still terrorists roaming the streets in different cities. So, Shira Ma'alois. Mimam Akim Krosicha Adonai. Adonai, Shimo B'Koili, Tienos Necho Kashuvois L'Koi Tachanunai. Ima Adonai Tishmor Yo Adonai Miyamoid. Kimcho Aslicho Leman Tivorei. Kivisi Adonai Kivso Nafshi V'Ledvoroi Yicholti. Nafshi L'Adonai Mishomrim L'Boiker Shomrim L'Boiker. Yachel Yisrael El Adonai Kim Adonai Yachesed V'Arbe Imo Yifedus. V'hu Yivdes Yisrael Mikol Avonei Sov. Achenu Kovacs Yisrael Anisim Mitzvah B'Shivyo Hoim Dem Bein Bayom U'Bein Bayabosh Amok Yimrachem Aleim Nitzim Mitzvah Lavocha Afei Lo'el Mishmel Legula Shto V'Aglov Zman Koriv V'Nimar Amein. My own nephew, who learned right here, was the biggest master in the yeshiva behind us. May Simcha Ben Adina was called up to go into Netivot, which is a terrible place right now. There's still buildings that are under siege. People from the Shir, their kids are being called up. I think maybe even Eli Rosen. I don't know. Who knows? All the supposedly full brigades of Golani were wiped out. We don't know anything. Still, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of things going on, and it's noirvoim. One thing we know, what? Hatzlocha guys were killed. We have from our shir, Moshe Pashka is on the front line, and he said that it's whatever you hear on the news is timed by 100, and that his own fellow Hatzlocha members were killed, and it's noirvoim. Okay, there's a video here. Just my head is hurting a lot. I can't really concentrate very much, but we have to learn the daf. And just to give you an idea, I was sitting and trying to prepare for shir today, and my family, and I don't want you to take this in America. You might think, oh, not serious. The olam is, but you could see rockets, and this is from my porch. Somebody took it, and you could hear them calling me They want me to see it, but I can't. We have to prepare shir. I was debating whether to show because you hear laughing in the background, but that's not the mood here. Let me show you this real quickly with sound.
Ellie's going up. They didn't shoot it down.
Oh.
Wait,
that's from
was that
Rabbi
shot
tonight.
Or was that...
Tonight. This was after Avdallah, tonight. We just heard a big boom a moment before we started shir. So anyway, hopefully we can get through shir without sirens. If there's a siren, Chatz v'Shalom, then we will stop shir and resume at a different time. This was, let's see if we can get this. This is something, 2,200 missiles were shot today from Gaza. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. I should have watched it first. Torah is the best segula. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. Do the daf. Okay, that was an old thing. I didn't really look at it before I did it. Okay, Zok, the Masechta. We're not going to do any emails, anything like that. We want to jump right into it. The Masechta is sponsored by Lakewood NJ families, Lakewood, New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. The parents of chodesh, as is chus, that our family should be blessed with health. Simcha nachas for 120. Hatzlocha is chus, Yosef, Miriam, and Rochel. Parents of chodesh, Elan, Chaim, Golan, Leiluy, nishmat, Batsheva, Chaya, Bat Miriam. Parents of chodesh, Leiluy, nishmat, Zechariah ben Moshe. Parents of chodesh, Leiluy, nishmat, Chaya ben Yosef. Parents of Kovacs Family, in memory of Sara Leah Kovacs, Sara Leah bas Chaim Zusha on her first yahrtzeit. Rabbi side today, we're going to be learning torah. L'zeich nishmas, all those who were killed today, all those who need a pidyon shvuyim, whatever you call it, we have to get them out. All the sick people, we need tefillas, we need a lot of torah. The art of the month, sponsored by Yosef ben Chaya Sara, for the schusim that come from supporting Limudat Torah. Baruch Foreman, who sits here every single day, was called up. Today, what's his name? Baruch Ben Hanina Ben Chana. Should all come back safely, and there should be no more enemy by the time this thing is over. Shtar Harsha, anybody remembers what it is? Help me out. Yeshel Schirus Mitchilat Soif. I have to concentrate. Mamish, my head is. Yeshel Schirus Mitchilat Soif is a question whether when you Mamish, I'm not concentrating. Okay, think, focus. If a person works on a certain object, does he get paid every pruta that he works, or he gets paid all the way at the end? Nafkamina, does he acquire it at the end, in the beginning, in the middle? Mara makoim hiloi is a concept. If a person, a woman says, go get my get from this in the city, or go get my Kiddushin from the city, is she just saying that's where he is, or giving advice where he is, or she's makbid, I only want to get divorced in this place. I only want to begin Kabbalah Kiddushin from this place. This is not a concept in Shas, but it's a concept in Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is in the head. Your thoughts are what make something happen. You could be doing the same exact thing as the other person, but you have thoughts, L'Shem Shamayim. The other person has other thoughts. Dvarim shebelev einan dvarim. When it comes to monetary things, then what you thought in your heart means nothing. Anan Sahadi is a concept throughout Shas. It's obvious that you meant XYZ, so we're talking about Esrogim, let's say on Sukkot. When you lend somebody an Esrog, you don't have to do it Tnai Kafel, because it's obvious that even if you didn't do it Tnai Kafel, you only gave it on condition that he gives it back, etc. If a person gives away all his Nechasim, and he realizes afterwards that he has a son somewhere, then obviously he gets back his Nechasim. Anan Sahadi. And Shlich Devar Aveira, you cannot send the agent to do an Aveira for you, besides in few situations. This is a concept that we had, that if you cannot marry, let's say, two women, two sisters, one after another, then you also cannot marry them together. The Kiddushin won't be chal in one shot. Kiddushin shlo nimsur lebiyah is, if it's impossible to have a relationship with this woman, so then it's not a Kiddushin b'chlal. The idea of kniyat v'chamar, I just thought it's a cool concept. It's not like we're going to have it 100 times in Shas, but It's the case of when a person tried to be Mekadesh 5 women and 2 of them were sisters. So it's like saying, you should be kind of this, and the Chamar should be kind of the other part. Since the Chamar can't be kind of, since a fetus can't be kind of, so too the other person can't be kind of. Shvuas Pikadan is if somebody was watching something for you and then he claims he got lost, whatever, so you could invoke a Shvuah. Mi'ila is what we're going to be talking about today a lot, and that is if something's owned by the Beis HaMikdash and you use it in a certain way that you make it yours, you take it out of the Beis HaMikdash, out of that, you're over on Mi'ila. Hatznu Moshe Midayim is just a concept to remember in terms of Musar, that the Choshev people, the Talmid Chacham, the Chaverim, the Kohanim, even though they were able to have some of the Lechem upon them, they stayed away. They let the other guys, the Fressers, Chab, whatever they wanted. They said, listen, it's better if they do their thing, even though it's a big mitzvah, Lechem upon them. All right, Rabbi Isai, here we are. By the way, because we're Motzei Simchas Torah here in Eretz Yisrael, so there's a story about Reb Zusha writes in the Baruch Nafshi that his father-in-law paskin on every single shaila that ever came to him. There was nothing in the Torah, in all types of halachas from A to Z. There's one halacha he couldn't paskin. And he says, Reb Zusha, that they came to ask him that Yeshivas Kamenetz, they never had a vacation, and they wanted to know, since the Bachrim were so tired from dancing the whole day until it was Torah, and they also they took out the sukkah, could they get a little break, one-time break? And he said, because it's such a concept of yomi, of learning every single day, he can't paskin for them. They really deserve a vacation. They deserve some sort of break, but to break a seder, and like right now we're not going to break a seder, because I'll tell you, I know that everyone in this room, and we only have 10 people baruch in this room, some of them are even staff, that I know it's very difficult to come out tonight. Everybody wants to know what's going on, and they're looking at the news and calming the family down. There's a lot of people with anxiety and this and that. To come out is difficult. Yet, we don't break a yoimi. So we're holding like 8 lines from the bottom of Nundal Amud Beis. Toshma. We'll try to go through this as quickly as possible so the Elan can get home and take care of the mishpachas. Toshma. Meiser Besela. We're trying to figure out, is Meiser Sheni, again Meiser Sheni, people, you have product, and you're supposed to give certain things, Trumas and Meisers to the Kohen, to the Levi, and then whatever's left over, you take 10% on years 1, 2, 4, 5, take 10% for yourself. On years 3 and 6, you give 10%. That same 10% you give to the Ani. Now, the 10% that you give to yourself, and you have to bring it to Yerushalayim, and in Yerushalayim, is it yours, or is it Mam Gavoya? Is it considered Hegdish? You just are allowed to eat it. Nafkimina, could you be Mekadesh or one with it? Tashma. A person was purchasing Meiser Sheni from his friend. And the friend said, okay, these fruit are worth 1 selah. Now, we know that typically speaking, when you purchase something from your friend, you're going to be kind of bekinyan meshicha. And that's what he did. But over here, he's trying to be paided. He's trying to pay his friend. Paid over here means to pay his friend. And by doing that, take the meiser off his friend's hand. And perhaps Mashiach doesn't work, because Mashiach doesn't work with Hegdish. And the price went up to 2. What's Halacha? Nois and Selah, Mistaker B'Selah. He pays what the deal was, the Selah, and he gains a full Selah. Now it's not a real gain, because you would have to take that Selah and purchase more product in Yerushalayim, but he doesn't have to pay for it 2 Selah. He doesn't have to give that guy 2 Selah. Says Gemara, Mani Ilemi Remeir. Who is this? If it's Remeir, am I Mistaker B'Selah? It's Kachim. And it says by Kachim, there's no Mashiach when it comes to Kachim. Anything owned by the Beis HaMikdash, you cannot purchase with Mashiach. If you're going to buy something from the Beis HaMikdash, you have to pay for it. And Reb Meir's of the opinion that Ma'aser Shein is Kachim, it's Mammon Gavaya. So how does it work? Mashiach doesn't work. Reb Yehuda. So we're trying to find something to corroborate Reb Yehuda. Before, yesterday, we said that the halach is like Reb Meir, b'maiser, and I'll prove it to you from a Mishnah. Okay. And now we're trying to prove Reb Yehuda. Says Gemara, Reb Yehuda. You're right. This does go with the shita of Reb Yehuda. No, so why do you say that halach is like Reb Meir? We have mefurish like Reb Yehuda, and yesterday we had mefurish like Reb Meir. So which one wins? Says the Gemara, it's 1 against 2. We have 2 Mishnayos that are anonymous against 1 Mishnah that's anonymous. Reb Shimshon Pincus writes in a sefer, he writes that Reb Uri Zohar, zechrono Rochel, who was the famous comedian here in Eretz Yisrael, who became a Batsheva, and not Stam Batsheva, he went Mekatzel Katzel, became a big Talmud Chacham. He told me, Reb Uri Zohar said he had the nicest house in Israel, whatever that means, lived on the beach, in the nicest mansion in Israel, and I could tell you that I've never seen, in all my years in Israel, I've never seen a smaller apartment than his apartment. It was basically 10 feet by 10 feet. It was a machsan. It's a storage unit that came with his apartment. He gave his apartment to his son, and he lived as maybe the Chus HaMishka, like he went to the other side. He went away from all the gashmis that he had. So his friends asked him, tell us a joke, your last joke. So he said, okay. They begged him, he said, okay, I'll tell you my last joke. He said, there was a cop that was following two guys on a motorcycle. And he pulled them over and he said, listen, I've been following you for a very long time. I'm trying to get you a ticket. And you're not doing anything illegal. What's going on there? So they said, Hashem imanu. Hashem's with us. So the cop said, oh, you have 3 on the motorcycle? That's a ticket. That was his last joke. In other words, it's not even a joke. Hashem is with us, especially people that ride motorcycles. So the Gemara says, okay, you have 1 against 2, but they're all anonymous. 1 Mishnah like Reb Yehuda that's anonymous, 2 Mishnahs like Reb Meir, it's anonymous. Anonymous is anonymous. We always pass them like the anonymous Mishnah. I'll tell you why. This we have many times in Shas. There's a Masechta called Ediyos. Ediyos is the testimonies of different Tanoim, and a Mishnah that appears there, that's the halacha. So one of the 2 Mishnayos happens to be in Ediyos, Idiyos, some say it's Idis, Mamish, the Idis of the Idis, and therefore the halacha is like Rebbe Meir. Not awesome. Nu sugya. Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph. If a person finds an animal outside of Yerushalayim, most animals in Yerushalayim are going to be kachim. They're going to be korbanos. People brought korbanos. The little guy ran away, got away, and he's wandering. So from Yerushalayim to Migdal Eder, and then you take that. So here's the chart. This is Yerushalayim. Migdal Eder is like next to Bet Lechem. I have to press again. I'll press again. Okay. So Migdal Eder, let's say, is that distance from Yerushalayim. So it's the distance from Yerushalayim to Migdal Eder, let's say, is 1 mile. So 1 mile around Yerushalayim in all directions. So what happens when you find the animal? That's what we're going to be dealing with today. It's a very short daf, a very easy daf. Tomorrow is even easier, even shorter. Zcharim, if you find a male animal, oilois, it must be an oil. Now, let's think about it. Let's put it, we don't have a lot of people there, so you have to all be good. Let's say you find a male carbon, a male animal, not a carbon, male animal. What could it possibly be? Oila. What else? Nu. What else? A what? Chatos is a female. What else? Whatever it is, whatever it could be, that's what you have to assume it is. So let's see. The Gemara is going to talk about all the different cases, and let's see you find the female. What could it be? So he said a chatas. What else could it be? What else could it be? No, cannot be a Pesach. No, Zachar. Okay, so let's see. So that's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn a little bit of Kachim. If you find the Zachar to Oila, so what's the obvious question? Why an Oila? Maybe it should be something else. The other animals that are brought, other karbanis that are Zachar, Nikevais, Zivche Shlamim, it could be Shlamim, it has to be Shlamim. Ask the Gemara, whoa, if you find the male, it could possibly be a Shlamim. Many people bring Shlamim. Not only many people bring Shlamim, but like we mentioned the other day, most Meiser Sheni money, the extras go for Shlamim. They made a ton of Shlamim in Yerushalayim. We're talking about a big tzaddik. He found an animal. He doesn't want to bring this animal as anything. He cannot bring this animal as an oila. Why? Because maybe it's a shlamim. I don't know what it is. It's a different type of carbon. Shlamim, the koyanim get to eat from it. Oila is kuloi lashem. It goes completely different things, different dam, different things. Says Rabbi Shai, we're not even talking about that he wants to do that. He's trying to do a favor to whoever lost this and say, listen, this guy's an evach. He brought a carbon. He doesn't even know that's lost. What could it possibly be? It could be this, this, this. I'm going to bring all the options for that person. That's what he's doing. And whatever other thing that we're going to be a suffix, and that's what we're going to see. So what he does is, he takes this animal, he found a carbon, right? He finds a shepsela, and he says, I am taking out the Kedusha from this sheep completely. I'm removing the Kedusha and putting the Kedusha into this animal. Now, let me ask you something. What if he doesn't take the Kedusha out of this animal? He says, you hear Tomer? What if he says, I'm bringing this animal instead of this animal? Does that work? That's Tmura. That's Isser Raisa. Very good. So you have to remove the Kedusha. You have to be mechalal it. I'm removing the Kedusha and I'm taking an animal instead of that. Not instead, because instead it would be Tmura. But I'm doing the Chilul, and this is a new carbon. Ugdushas Agov, asked the Gemara, Ugdushas Agov mi mischalel. So let me just show you this real quickly. There's two types of Kedushas in the Beis HaMikdash. Kedushas Aguf and Kedushas Domim. Kedushas Aguf means that the actual body of this animal is Kaddish. Like an Oila. It's Kaddish. Then you have objects that are just donated to the Beis HaMikdash. They have Kedusha, but this Kedusha is Domim. It's only monetary Kedusha. That you could redeem. But something that's inherently Kaddish, Kedusha Aguf, you can't redeem. Mi mischalo, can't be mischalo. You can't remove the Kedusha. But nan, ein moyel achar moyel b'mekudoshim ela b'beheima. You cannot do mi'ila after mi'ila by something that's Kaddish, but b'beheima or b'klishar is b'vad. Ela b'beheima. What does that mean? Mi'ila means that you're removing something out of Hekdesh. So if I remove this, let's say this was Hekdesh. This is owned by Beis HaMikdash. I removed it. I started davening from it. I ruined it a little bit. So it became mine. So I took this out of the Beis HaMikdash. Now you come and you take it and you use it. Were you over on Mi'ila? No. I was over on Mi'ila. I took it, removed it out of Beis HaMikdash. I have to pay the Beis HaMikdash whatever I have to pay them. I have to bring a carbon asham. I have to pay a siddur plus 25% of another siddur. But you, the second person, cannot be moyel. Ein moyel acher moyel. Where could you be moyel more than once? In an animal. An animal could never go out of the Beis HaMikdash. It always remains the Beis HaMikdash. So if it remains the Beis HaMikdash, I write it, I'm over Mila. You write it, you're over Mila. We're all over. 100 people write it, they're all over Mila. There was a non-affiliated Jew who wanted to make a bris. And the moil comes there and he sees that the bris is going to come out on Shabbos. And he was very worried that many people will drive into the bris and the whole thing. So he told the guy, listen, you don't want this on your head. Let's do a quick bris. We'll do a bris on Shabbos. Tell all your guests that the baby was a little, whatever. The bris is on Sunday. This is brought down in a sefer about brisim by a moil. He had a lot of funny stories, and he writes this in there. Says, he told the guy, he said, I'm going to make the bris on Shabbos. It's going to be a real bris. On Sunday, I'm going to come. I'm just going to take off the diaper and go like this. The knife, the kids are, nobody will see. Make a bris. He says, on Sunday, ton of people came. Shabbos is a small minion. Then he wrote in the sefer, he says, usually we say, Ein moyel acher moyel. But over here, there's a moyel acher moyel. Fine. There's a story that I just recently heard, I have to say, the chvoid tonight, massive that we're in, about unaffiliated Jews. When I heard the story, I cried. I think it brings tears to everybody when they hear the story. There was a guy, his name was Ophir, and he went to one of these conventions for, what is it called? Arachim, thank you. How do you say Arachim in English? In Arachim. He went to Arachim, Discovery. And the guy, one of the guys there, one of the lecturers, said, let's learn Masechtas Megillah. So this kid, Ophir, he says, what's Megillah? So he says, on Purim, we read a Megillah. He says, what's that? And he explains to him, he says, it's made out, he didn't know anything. He didn't know that's made out of leather. He didn't know Purim, nothing. It's hard to believe that here in Israel, some of the Yidden know less than unaffiliated Jews in America. Kachaz, it's a mitzias. The bedafka, whatever it is, I don't know what. So 2 months later, this Ophir guy calls up the lecturer and he says, I decided to learn Masechtas Megillah on my own. I'm making a siyum. I want you to come to my siyum. So he's like, I can't come to the siyum. Your father's like a real anti and this and that. He says, no, you're coming to my siyum. So he shows up at the siyum. And Ophir gets up and he gives a speech at a siyum for 40 minutes. 40-minute speech. A whole discourse in Masechtas Megillah. Explaining back, forth, the whole thing. When Ophir was done, Ophir's uncle gets up. Frum guy gets up. He says, look, we're two brothers. Me and Yankel. You see, that's Yankel. He's not religious. So my brother Yankel was the top guy in yeshiva. He's always the smartest guy in yeshiva. Shir Beis, yeshiva G'dayla. He decided to leave Yiddishkeit. He left. He says, since then, my mother, Aleh Shalom, for 17 years, every single Hadlokas Neirus, she cried for 40 minutes. 40 minutes every single Hadlokas Neirus. He says, when my mother's nifter, my father took upon himself a tzavah. If my mother did it, he's going to do it. So for 7 years after that, my father cried at Hadlokas Neirus for 40 minutes. Then his father's nifter. So my father's nifter, I took it upon myself to daven for Yankel. For 40 minutes every single. He says, now I understand why this guy Ophir, he gave a drasha for 40 minutes. And then, this is part of the Maisa. Ophir got married to a religious girl. And at the chasana, Yankel became Batsheva. Came as a Batsheva. Koyach Tefillah. All right. Zog the Gemara. It's okay to cry. It's Peseder. It's not anymore like we're going to Klisharis Bovad. Oh, so Klisharis. There's going to be a Meila after Meila. How? Ketzan. If you use the Beis HaMikdash as an animal horse, so you're over a Meila. And then his friend did it. Everybody's over a Meila. He used the golden kli from the Beis HaMikdash. Everybody's over Meila. Says the Gemara, Ahi, this Mishnah that says that a Klishares doesn't go out of the Beis Hamikdash, Ahi, Rabbi Yehuda. Ha, Rabbi Meir. This that we're learning up until now, that you found a behema and what to do with it, that's Rabbi Meir. Says Gemara, okay. Mid Rabbi Yehuda nishmat Rabbi Meir. But one should teach the other. Why? What does Rabbi Yehuda say? That if you use hegdish by mistake, it goes out, it becomes mechulal, it's not the Beis Hamikdash anymore. He learns the pasuk of Me'ilah is b'shoigig. The whole concept of Me'ilah is that you don't know what you're doing. You don't realize that it's Beis Hamikdash. And that's when it comes out. Ugdushas agov lo mitachla. Yet Rabbi Yehuda himself says that if it's kadosh, the animal itself never becomes chulin. You can never remove the kedusha from an animal. The Meir Nami, so he says, beautiful. The whole machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Meir is not about whether kedushas aguf becomes chulin or not. L'chayra, the only arguing on one thing: is it shoigig that makes me'ilah or meza that makes me'ilah? But could you remove kedusha from something that's kedushas aguf? They never argued on. So if you see that Rabbi Yehuda holds that you cannot be mechalal something that's called kedushas aguf, an animal that's a oila, you can never remove the kedusha from it, says Rabbi Yehuda. He just says that you're over on me'ilah when you do it by mistake, you write it by mistake, but it doesn't become chulin. So then the same thing would be by Remeir. He holds that you do by I might have misspoken. Forget about the animal riding the animal. But the point is that me'ilah happens by mistake, but you cannot be mechalal kedushas aguf. So Remeir will say me'ilah happens what? B'mezid, not by mistake, but you cannot be mechalal. On that part, he's going to agree. You cannot be mechalal something that has kedushas aguf. Says the Gemara, no. When you don't have the want, you don't want to take it out of chulin, fine. Says the Gemara, no, it's very possible that according to Remeir, how do you over milah on purpose? So when on purpose you want to remove it out of kedusha, you will remove it out of the kedusha. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says it all happens by mistake. And by mistake, you never intended on taking it out of the Beis Hamikdash. It was a mistake. You didn't know it's Beis Hamikdash. But you're over milah. Fine. So it doesn't remove the kedusha. Remeir says that how do you do mi'ilah on purpose? So you have intent to remove from the Beis Hamikdash. So it comes out of the Beis Hamikdash. Even something that's called kedushas aguf. Says the Gemara, okay, I'll give it to you. Aim of the shamas le'Remeir because you catch him. Fine. So you could remove something that's kachim, like a oila, kachim, kalim, mishamas. What about a shlamim? Kachim kalim. It's lighter level of kedusha, but it's kedushas aguf. Where do you see that he says that you can remove that kedusha? This seems like a simple logic. Something that's so chomer, like a oila, like a asha, something kachim. You could remove the kedusha from it. Kachim kalim like kachim is a certain thing, certainly a meiser. I don't know what, something that has very little kedusha compared to kachim. Certainly, you should be able to remove the kedusha. It's marminami. Omer Reb Kiva, we say the same thing. Omer Reb Elchanan Pressman. Hegdish b'meizim ischalel, b'shogim ischalel. When you go on purpose and you try to take hegdish out of its place, it works. B'shogim ischalel. Echad kachim, and this is exactly what we just said a second ago. Whether it's kachim or kachim kalim, both, even kachim kalim. Why? Kavachaymer. Kachim ischalel, kachim kalim like kachim. If you can remove the kedusha from kachim, so certainly from kachim kalim. Daf Yomi sponsored for all those in need of Refuah Shlema. We have at least 1,400 just today. The need of Refuah Shlema. The numbers are just. If anybody thinks it's not a Kosh Baruch Hu himself doing this, like you have this whole giant army, and all of a sudden they're able to go in from a place that everybody knows they want to come in. Every day they want to come in. They come in and they start shechting on these kind of numbers. If you don't think HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying something here, that's the mamish HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What? Nobody knew about it. They know that this guy in this apartment building over here, he's planning terrorist attacks. They go and they bomb it. But that hundreds of these people on jeeps and they're coming in, that they didn't know. The mamish didn't know. And that they come with a little tractor and knock down the wall. That they didn't know they have these flying. You saw these things. They flew in. That they don't know. Not drones. Paragliders. The mamish didn't chop all this stuff. Because Baruch Hu could do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants. We have nothing but him. Okay. For bike innovations in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, and as the zchut for a year filled with mazel bracha Hatzlocha, paros b'revach for all of MDY family. Toy bar Reb Elchanan. Ask Reb Elchanan, I don't understand. What happened there? We're talking about a big tzaddik walking around next to Yerushalayim. He finds an animal. Says the tzaddik, let me help out Pliny. What am I going to do? He has a car. I don't know which one it is. So let me be mechalit. Let me remove the Kiddushin from it. And I'll buy him a shlamim. I'm large. A shlam, a oila, a shlamim, whatever I need. Whatever he needs. Ask Gemara, so that Pliny should be zoyches, so you're doing an avera. Mamish don't chap. So that reminds me a little bit of my neighbor. Hope he doesn't listen to the shir. He's a big Dovik Bakodesh Baruch Hu, and he dances mamish to music in a sukkah. Unbelievable. Dancing, very loud music. The only problem is it's 2 a.m. Ma'aseh Shaya, 2 a.m, blasting music because he wants to be Dovik in a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Mamish a tzaddik.
Buying headphones?
No, the ganze mishpacha. So. He's chayta, that doesn't make sense. Or, I'll give you another thing. What about this tzaddik that threw his aravis there? Seriously, who's going to remove that? The gabbai, whoever it is. So, I'm a big tzaddik. I throw my aravis up there. I don't know where it says you should throw it up there. I don't know if anybody has a makar for it, fine. But I'm being kind mitzvahs so that Pliny has to go and remove it. Okay. Huh? Chazim used to do it? About the Aravis? About the Oren Kodesh? Up there. I don't know. There's plenty of things where, how about the time I was in America? A guy blocks me in. So I'm waiting, a double parked car. I had to go to Mincha. So why? Your Mincha is worthless. You just made me sit here for 10 minutes. It's normal over in this neighborhood. What are you upset at me? Okay. If you're going to come here, you have to understand that somebody might block you in because there's a minion factory. Okay. Weiter. Oh. So how in the world does this guy remove the Kedusha from this animal, which is Issa Derais, to do, just so that his friend should, whoever it is, he doesn't even know. He's like the guy that puts in the quarters. That's not an Isser. I'm saying, maybe guy will say it is also, but in New York I saw in the 5 towns, as the meter cop, whatever his name is, walking down the street, this guy's pumping quarters into every meter before he gets there. So it shouldn't be. Okay, so this guy's also a big tzaddik. He sees every animal he finds, he starts buying shlomim and oilos, but it's an isser. No, what you do is you wait until it befalls a mum. And then he brings 2 animals, and he makes a t'nai. He says, if this animal is an oila, if the animal I found is oila, this should be an oila. And if the animal is not an oila, this oila should be an adava. And this animal over here is a shlomim. So if this animal that I found is a shlomim, the animal I bought is a shlomim, great. And if not, the shlomim is an adava. Omar Mar Zchorim Oilois. You said, if he found a Zachar, it's a Oila. Ask the Gemara, Dilma Toidahi. Maybe it's a carbon Toidah. Now, could I repeat this? Who was it? I think Hillel Kamyansky likes this. Yeah, it's Hillel. So I'll say it again, Lakewood Hillel. The only thing in Shemona Esrei that the Chazan can't say for us is one thing that we have to say ourselves. Is Hoidah. Is Moedim. You can't have a shliach tzibor say thank you for you. You say thank you say it on your own. Can't send a shliach. Over here it's interesting. Maybe he found a toida. Says the Gemara, the ma'isinaim a toida. He brings a toida. But a toida, how could I bring a toida for you? Okay. The guy already brought a toida. Again, with Reb Elchanan, I have to say this also. Reb Elchanan, when he had his big surgery, when he was close to 100 years old, so he asked all the people to teach him 2 words. They flew in. This Gvir in America, I forgot his name already, for Muncie, I think, he had a private jet, flew in the surgeon to Israel to do a surgery for Reb Elchanan. And they did it. So Reb Elchanan insisted on saying thank you in English to the surgeon. Because thank you is not something that I could tell somebody else, and I wanted to say it in his language. Fine. Says Gemara the Ma'asin Namik Toida. So I think if we have a minute here, let's do this Toises inside real quickly. Toises dibra Ma'asin the Ma'asin Namik Toida. Vim Toima. V'maitzor lovi behema cheres l'toida. Why do you have to bring another animal? Bois atzim sheyas if chishlomim. He's already bringing 2 animals. He's bringing oila and a shlomim. So the shlomim should be for the toida. Yas nevi yomer min shlomim te toida. Oh, vi mishum hamatonois. You have to put blood on the wall of the mizbeach. Habeshavim. It's not a problem. It's the same type of blood they do for a shlomim. You do for a toida. Yeah, there's different types. Sometimes you put it above the red line, below the red line. Sometimes on this corner, 2 shnaim shemarba. But over here, it's the same type of blood. Same type as zrika. Oh, but there's another problem. They don't have the same amount of days that they're allowed to be eaten. The shlamim is eaten. I'm just reading because there's a lot of you say this here. Shlamim is eaten for 2 days. A toida only 1 day. So the Taisus says over here, there's a concept, there's a problem. You can't switch 2 korbanos because you can't go down, you can't downgrade. If a carbon could be eaten for 2 days, you can't say, let's treat it like a carbon that you only eat for 1 day. Why? Because a carbon that you can only eat for 1 day, what if you don't eat it? You're going to have to throw it out. It comes to a problem. You might have to throw out some of the carbon. He says, no, he doesn't hold like that. It's not a problem to do that. Oh, and he brings it right from Korban Pesach that we're going to have soon. You can flip a Pesach to Shlom. Okay, fine. Anyway, so Taisus says, the toida boy lechem. So you have to bring the breads with the taida. So you can't just make a shlomim into taida. Oh, so bring bread. So make it tonight. If this is a shlomim, so the breads that I'm bringing, the 40 breads I'm bringing, should be in a dava. Says Gemara, says Taisus, no. Ein lechem ban nedava. V'chulin bazar, you can't bring breads as an nedava, and therefore it's chulin bazar. Fine. I'll go upon him. So it says like this. He brings a toida also. So now we're up to 3 animals. 1 oila, 1 shlomim, 1 toida. Says Gemara v'boy lechem. But you can't just bring a toida, you have to bring bread. The ma'asin ami lechem. Here's a picture of something. Here are the different breads that you bring. Chalois, rikikim, and kuva. 5. It's 40. What do we have over here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. I don't know. No, I think there's 2 in one type and 1 in the other. I don't know. Fine. This is an old picture. Don't hold me to it. It's l'saber size. 40 breads. He brings that. Says the Gemara, Vidum Ashamu. Maybe it's Asham. Now the problem with Asham, Rabbi Yisai, is you can't just bring an Asham and say, but if it's not Asham, it should be a Nedava. There is no Nedava on Asham. What else can you not bring a carbon as a Nedava? What other carbon? Rabbi Yisai? Chatos. But now we're asking, maybe it's an Asham. And this is a big problem. So bring a 4th one. You can't bring a 4th one. Asham, ben shtei shanim. Asham has to be at least 2 years old. We're talking about a case that he found a 1-year-old. Says Gemara, but there is one Asham called Asham Etzarim. Etzarim brings Asham. Asham Nazir. That's 1 year old. Says Gemara, we're not concerned because it's very rare that somebody's a Metzayra, very rare that a person will become Tomei as a Nazir. Says Gemara, maybe the Zachar that you found is a Korban Pesach. Says Gemara, Pesach is Manahoy Mizazir Be. If it's right around Pesach time, they're very careful, so it's not. It flips into Shlomim. Says Gemara, maybe what you found is the firstborn. That's the B'char, goes to the Kayin. Or it's the 10th animal that you have every 10, because Ma'aser like we discussed. Now, the problem with the B'char Ma'aser is that you can't be poidet. And if it gets a mum, you eat it as is. Says the Gemara, that's what the Gemara says. What's the difference? Okay, let's say the animal you found is a b'char or meiser. You have to wait until it gets a mum and then you eat it. You're right. This animal that you found, first of all, you're bringing 3 animals instead of it, but the one that you found, you're not going to eat until it becomes a mum. There's one thing, by the way. So what do we have so far? A guy finds a zachar who's a year old. What are the possibilities? It could be an oila, it could be a shlamim, and it could be a taida. It cannot be an asham because the asham is 2 years old. The rest of the ashamim are not shchiach. Now, it could be a b'char meiser. So for that, you're going to wait until it befalls a mum, then you're going to eat it. Now, one thing about b'char meiser, Rashi brings down, it's very important to know that a b'char and meiser, even though it has a mum and you're allowed to eat it, you cannot weigh it on a scale. You can't treat it bibizayin. You can't put its meat on a scale. And also, you can't sell it in a butcher shop. Says, I heard Benny making a hanacha. Okay. Omar Mar, nekeva, but what if you found the nekeva? Zivchei shlamim, should be a shlamim. As the Gemara, a taida can be both a zach and a nekeva, so maybe it's a carbon taida. Again, a taida is a carbon that you bring when something bad happens to somebody. One of the things, you got a jail, like we make today, goimel, guy had a disease, he brings the carbon taida. Says the Gemara, the maisi taida. And a chanami has to bring shlamim and a taida. Babin and lechem. The maisi nami lechem. Says the Gemara, the same question we had before in the asham. But what if it's a chatos and then you cannot bring a chatos as a third option? Why? Because if it's not a chatos, what are you going to do with it? It doesn't go as an adava. When it's the shlamim, you say, oh, I'll bring a shlamim. And if it's not a shlamim, okay, I'm giving it a gift to the mizbeach. You can't do that with a chatos. So the Gemara, chatos b'shnasa. A chatos is only in a year old. It's 2 years old. Says Gemara, okay, but maybe maybe it's an older chatas that's already lost for a year. You found it when it's old. That you found it was draining around in Yerushalayim over there for a whole year. No way. But what about the mai? What if you found a 1-year-old? What age is a person when he learns the most in his life? I learned it once. I don't know if it's emes. From 0 to 1 is the absolute most that a person learns. They explain because a kid that age, a baby, feels that he doesn't belong. He sees everybody talking, right? See, he's dying to learn to get that information. As we grow older, we get a little bit more and more relaxed. The more relaxed we are, we got it all. So the idea is not to be so relaxed. Etc. Okay. Bas shnosa. Tanya Chananya ben Chachinoi Oimer Eis bas shnosa l'chatos. So there's a pasuk that actually says this. You see, it's a play on words over here. So what do you do, ask the Gemara, if it's 1 year old? You found a 1-year-old. You just told me, we're talking about a case that you found a 2-year-old. But what if you found a 1-year-old? What do you do? A female animal that's 1 year old. You should make it a chatos. That's what it says in the pasuk. Chatos. Says the Gemara, the chatos. How can you bring in the chatos? Maybe it's not a chatos. Maybe I don't know. It's a shlama. How can you bring in the chatos? Elo amar baya kichatos. You treat it like a chatos. So here's the upgraded chatos hamesos. There are 5 types of chatos that must go through a terrible thing called kippah. Rashi brings 2 pshatim. Either they had a special room for it, or you make your own room. The point is, there's nothing you can do with this chatos. Absolutely nothing. You can't feed it. It must die. A terrible death. Why? I don't know. I remember Dr. Epstein questioned it. Like, what's going on? How can the Torah allow such a thing? But that's it. It's Hatzlocha l'Moshe Messina. Vlad chatos means a baby chatos. It's born, newborn from so you have a chatos, and it gave birth to another baby. That baby is done. Tmuras chatos, as we discussed before, if you have one animal let's say a skinny little chatos, and you want to bring a big fat gesund chatos, say this should be instead of this. It must die. You're not allowed to say that. If the owner of the chatos dies, you cannot bring your chatos that mesu baleh. This kapra baleh, if let's say it got lost and the owner brought another chatos instead of it, bye bye. And over shnasa, if it had a birthday, it's more than a year old. That's what we're talking about here. Then koinzel kipov, you make some aleh, raboisai, psuras toivois, raboisai. Have a wonderful day.